Hello there. 4 years ago today, the UK made the historic decision to leave the European Union. And what a day that was. Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost, and I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. Right now, I am sat celebrating with fellow Brexit conspirators in an undisclosed location somewhere in southwest England. Obeying social distancing rules, I'll have you know. Because today is the 23rd of June, and it marks the 4th birthday of that decision by the UK electorate for us to regain our national independence and once again forge our own way in the world. And although the result looked quite close at 51.89% to 48.11%, something the Remainers still harp on about today, the reality was that the Leave side won by a majority of 1,269,501 votes. Over 1.25 million votes. That's not close, it's a decisive victory. And when looked at by constituency, it was a landslide, with 406 voting to leave and 242 opting for remain. And looking back, you can see that the Leave side won the 2014 EU elections, the 2015 general election, the 2016 EU referendum, the 2017 general election, the 2019 EU elections, and the 2019 general election. All of those elections were won by those who wanted us out of the EU or who said we would have a referendum on the matter. The Leave sentiment has always been higher in the UK than the powers that be would want you to believe. Now, I had worked with many good people in the 3 years or more running up to the EU referendum, all of whom had been part of the silent majority. But they thought this a cause worth working for and were, like me, prepared to put their heads above the parapet and put the time and shoe leather into delivering leaflets and working on street stalls to help hand out information to those interested in listening. Those 3 years were a hard slog, where so many people made personal and business sacrifices along the way to keep the pressure on, to not just win a Leave vote, but to also force the referendum vote in the first place. After all, a referendum on EU membership was not a given. Even that had to be battled hard for. But as the date for the referendum drew nearer, the Leave campaign began to build up a head of steam. It gained a steadily increasing momentum all of its own, to the point that people who had just a year before may have been too busy or preoccupied to engage began to approach us Brexiteers for information. They were hungry to find out why we were so passionate about the UK regaining control over its own affairs. They were becoming more interested in politics, more willing to listen, and becoming more informed by the day. And the nearer that voting day became, the more that party politics subsided and a grand coalition of Brexiteers gelled together. Conservative, Labour, UKIP, even Green Leave. None of it mattered. Just getting us free of Brussels was all that concerned us. Big meetings with people from all corners of politics and all walks of life became the norm, all with the sole aim of pushing UK national sovereignty. But we all knew that we had a mountain to climb. It was not going to be easy. But we trudged the streets of an evening and took to street and car boot sale stalls at the weekends. And despite the mountain of polls all pointing to a Remain win, we knew from talking to real people in the street that the tide was turning our way. But would it be enough? Could we really turn this round in the few remaining weeks and days? And before we knew it, the 23rd of June 2016 was upon us, and the polling stations dutifully opened up at 7 a.m. And apart from contacting the people we knew who would vote for Leave to remind them to vote, as if any of them did need reminding, or standing as count agents outside the polling stations, there was nothing more we could do, except gird our loins, ready to face the music of the count later that night, a count that would go right through breakfast the next morning. And those hours of polling day, waiting until 10 p.m. for the polling stations to shut and for the ballot boxes to be opened and for the votes to be counted, must have been the worst for the nerves I'd experienced in a very long while. And at just after 10 o'clock, I joined some 30 or so other Brexiteers, all wearing our red Leave rosettes, to watch the votes being verified and counted in North Dorset, and keep an eye on the results as they came in from around the UK and Gibraltar. And initially things did not look good for us. Gibraltar came in quickly with a resounding Remain vote. Not unexpected, but still a deflating experience. And in our neck of the woods, the Remain vote was starting strong, as the votes were counted from the wealthier villages in our constituency. And then I got a panicky phone call from a friend asking if I'd seen the Nigel Farage capitulation, saying we've probably lost this already by 2%. Another deflation. But as the night wore on, it became more clear that the Remain vote was not as strong as those original results had indicated, both across this nation and here in North Dorset. As the votes were counted from the larger conurbations and towns in North Dorset, the Leave vote began to grow. And then the pile of Leave votes began to match, and then pass those of the Remain side. The Remain count agents, who had looked so confident just a few moments before, began to shrink back and sit there flabbergasted and confused as the Leave votes came in thick and fast. All the while the National Leave vote began to gather pace and forge ahead, with the BBC presenters looking more and more worried as time progressed. And when the final North Dorset result came in, Leave had won by the handsome margin of 56.61% to 43.39%. That made all those years of foot-slogging campaigning and blisters worth every single second. And the elation we felt was only curbed at that point by the thought that the whole nation also had to vote that way for us to win. So a couple in our Brexiteer throng offered up their front room and telly, lots of drink and nibbles, and it was back to their place for the long haul. And by the time we got there, the Leave vote was looking stronger and stronger by the minute. And the BBC people were looking glummer and glummer. And it was becoming clear that Leave had won well before the last votes came in. But as hardened Brexiteers, we stuck to the task, raising a glass every time the swingometer, or whatever it's called, showed Leave inching ever further ahead of Remain. A champagne breakfast had never tasted sweeter. Now most people thought that was it. We are now leaving. But those of us that had walked the streets and delivered the leaflets and listened to the Remainers knew that this had only got the Leave ball rolling, nothing more. We knew that the Remain-based establishment would never give up, that it would fight the nastiest of rearguard actions, and that every inch of sovereignty would need to be fought hard for in both Houses of Parliament and in the press. But nothing had prepared many of us for the depths to which they would sink in their attempts to continue the destruction of this great nation, to the point that the courts would be used on an almost daily basis to try and break Brexit. And we still have 6 months to go. But all that's for another day. Today, I want to remember a famous national victory and thank all of those people that came on this journey with me, and especially to all of those that led so courageously from the front and who made such great personal sacrifices in the process. And you will all have your own stories of that long struggle. So, a happy Brexit referendum anniversary to every single one of you. It's been emotional. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it. So what do you think about this Brexit referendum 4th anniversary? Please share and comment, and thank you for listening.